Tales from the Bilberry Moon Cafe. For a button, a cake and a bicycle pump, which nowadays doesn't go far, you can see Dr. Shifty's Museum of Art and have change for a marmalade bar. Dr. Shifty declares he has artifacts there, both ancient and precious, historic and rare, and nothing bewitches the mind and the heart like Shifty's Museum of Original Art. On a rainy and drizzling Saturday noon, when the weather was cloudless and bright, I visited old Dr. Shifty's museum on a fanciful cultural flight. I was greeted by old Dr. Shifty himself, with his pince-nez and tangerine hair. He welcomed me warmly, although I observed there was no other visitor there. Dr. Shifty embraced me and laughed like a hen, saying, "Do let me show you around. I've 3 floors of rare and enchanting delights on the mezzanine, basement and ground. Let's begin in the famous White Elephant Room, which has treasures on every shelf. For your button, your cake and your bicycle pump, I'll be happy to guide you myself." He showed me a case which was lit on all sides and surrounded by shutterless glass, and I saw a small fly in a jelly-like mould in a tiny glass tub or a vase. "This fly," Shifty said, "was a king among flies who, through mischief, forsook his appointment. He caused treason, disruption, and spoiled people's work. The original fly in the ointment." "And moving along," said the doctor, and showed me the oddest exhibit I saw. For all on its own, looking withered and dry, was a piece of quite ordinary straw. "Now, this piece," he said, "is completely unique and descends from an infamous stack. For this is the straw, the original straw that broke the old camel's poor back." "And moving along," said the doctor, "this piece is as rare as Venusian silk." But peering inquiringly, all that I saw was a puddle of freshly spilled milk. "An emotional exhibit, truly, my friend, the most tragic and moving piece yet. Most visitors cry when they study it close. But there's no point in getting upset." "But moving along," said old Shifty, "we have an old character people know well, the most sought-after rascal whose poem you'll know, the elusive Pimpernel." "But there's nobody there," I cried. "No," Shifty said, "this atmosphere isn't conducive. And besides, if the Pimpernel were in his case, he wouldn't be very elusive." "But moving along," Dr. Shifty announced, "here's a marvel, whatever one thinks. For from old ancient Egypt, the land of the Nile, is the riddle of the Sphinx." "But where is the Sphinx?" I impatiently snapped. "This is some sort of con trick or fiddle." "Well, it's ordered and paid for, but hasn't arrived," said the doctor, "and that is the riddle." "But moving along," Dr. Shifty continued. "Now, just wait a minute," I cried. "Though I've paid you my button, my cake and my pump, I've been taken along for a ride." He tweaked at a strand of his tangerine hair and fastened it into a bow. "But you've not seen upstairs," he replied with a wince, "nor inspected our basement below." "And what might you show me?" I asked with a frown. "Don't tell me, in fact, let me guess. The bee's knees, the stone that will gather no moss, the untraceable beast of Loch Ness, the original spanner that fell in the works, or the needle once found in a stack. You have robbed me of patience, cake, button, and pump. I demand to be given them back." "Very well," said old Shifty. "I cannot deny. It's a slight disappointment, old chap. But for 1 cufflink extra, I'll chauffeur you home in my personal pony and trap." But walking outdoors, though the pony I saw, no carriage nor trap could be found. And then all of a sudden I tumbled head first down a deep, muddy hole in the ground. I could hear Dr. Shifty cluck gaily aloud, "Oh, well, you've fallen for that one, old chap. You certainly spotted the pony, and yet you forgot to look out for the trap." "All right, very funny," I cried, "but please help. To accuse you so harshly was wrong." And I felt, as the doctor took hold of my foot, that my leg had been pulled all along. For a button, a cake, and a bicycle pump, which isn't expensive, I know, you can visit old Shifty's Museum of Art, but remember my tale if you go. It took me a long time to scrub off the mud as I sat in my hot, bubbling bath, for instead of exploring Enlightenment's road, I'd been led up the old garden path.